What's going on, good people? How y'all doing? I have a special guest with me. Let me look. See, this is the first time I'm using StreamYard with the guests. And so I need to make sure that he is on the screen as well. So give me a little grace. Okay, yep. We both on there. Okay, cool, y'all. Cool. So Kenneth, I'm gonna mute you for the time being because there's some echoing in there. I don't know why there's echoing, but we're gonna make it work. Okay, y'all. What is going on, good people? How y'all doing? Happy what we on Thursday to you. All these days are running together nowadays. But hold on. Can you hear me, Kenneth? Okay, perfect. All these days are running together. Anyway, y'all, I have a special guest that's coming on, that's here on the show today. I styled him a few months ago and he was just like all with it. I'm like, let's go. And it was just so fun styling him. He's just like a cool dude to just hang around, be around, knowledgeable, very humbled, supportive man of God here. And so I'm going to welcome Kenneth Scales to the podcast. Y'all
What's up, y'all? What's going on? Woo.
I know, right? I need to get a little clap effects.
There we go. You know,
going on here.
For sure.
I just want to make sure that people can see you.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. I can see you. Perfect. Okay. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast, chopping it up with me, talking about, a variety of things. We're going to be very transparent and very vulnerable on this podcast. I definitely like for it to be organic as well as authentic and just it is going to be what it is at the end of the day. You down for that?
I'm down for that.
Right, come on. So I would love to give you the space to welcome yourself, tell the people who you are, what you do, what services you offer, name anything you got going on in the community that is coming up that you want the people to support.
Absolutely. Well, what's going on, y'all? I know a lot of you all probably on this podcast and all these, everybody that's online and streaming live. Welcome. My name is Kenneth Scales. I'm from Cali, York-a-Soda, born in Cali, raised in New York, and now I'm here in the cold state of Minnesota. And I know right now on my car it says it's 3 degrees right now, but we're gonna turn this thing right on up. We're gonna turn the podcast. A little bit about me. I am a fatherpreneur. I am a father of a rambunctious 6-year-old. I'm actually out of school right now, and I was just telling Rika that we had a bingo night, and he was ready to give up. And I said, "Son, you got to stay in the game. If you give up now, you never know. You just might win." "No, I'm not, Dad." And guess what? He won that next game. So we got lots to talk about for this weekend. I'm a community member. I work in community. I'm a business owner, bow tie billionaire. Where are my beards at? Where are my lovers of beards at? Bow tie billionaire. And see, thank you so much. And it's a lot of things that I'm involved in community. One of which actually this weekend, actually tomorrow. I don't know when y'all gonna see this. If it's airing live, just know that's tomorrow.
It's live. Tell the people. We live, bro. We live. Yes.
I'm also on the advisory committee for Twin Cities Black Employee Network, and so tomorrow is the 16th annual holiday social. It will be at the Minneapolis Art Institute. Come on out. It's a 1920 theme, Harlem Nights theme. And so you already know I'm going to get suited and booted. Thank you to Rika, because every time I go shopping, I promise you, I'm like, what will Rika say? Will she put these two colors together? So Thank you, Rika, for having me on this podcast. And I'm looking forward to having this really great conversation around relationships and dating and co-parenting and all that good stuff.
That part. Yes, that part. Well, I'm glad you had me in mind when it came to some styling tips and whatnot. And again, thank you for the opportunity to style you and work with you as well as Little Man, because he was there in the background supporting and all that stuff. So I just love that he sees you doing so many great things as just as a Black man, periods, and just a Black male in his life. And so he's just going to grow up. I gave you a word of the Lord. I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and
Uh,
I meant
it
to
was right
speak
on time.
that.
It was right on
Yeah,
time too.
and the thing is, I meant to speak it that day,
Mm.
and we just got so wrapped up in stuff, and I really wanted to deliver it in person, but I was like, let me go ahead and just give this word, and I'm like, okay, it just must be the time. So I'm glad it hit you where it needed to hit you. Yeah, you two are going to do great things together, and he's just going to go off of your shoulders and what you have built. He's going to build even greater. So I look forward to that.
Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to the goodness. So first off, I want to know the tea on what's going on in your dating life. How is it in these dating streets in Minnesota?
Ooh, dating is it could be a little ghetto sometimes, a little ghetto. Yeah, we're gonna start
Break
off.
it
It
down.
could be a little ghetto sometimes.
Break it down for
Um,
me.
I feel like dating, I feel like it is what you make it, right? And
Mhm.
so I have a lot of female friends who say that it is hard for them to go on dates or find someone to date, especially in Minnesota where it's so cold. And it's so funny. People say, "Ken, where's all your single friends at? Where's all your?" I said, all my single friends, like either they're taking care of business or they don't live in Minnesota no more, or like
Mhm.
I'm sure there's a lot of great potential out here, and it's like, where do you meet them at? I remember I was watching what was that, Boys in the Hood. It's like, oh, you want a good person, you want to date someone, gotta go to church, and then then you see on the church side, it's like, oh, it's not all sometimes what it's cracked up to be. There's like, well, go to the library. Well, you gotta be quiet in the library. I don't know, right? And so I think, and then we have a lot on social media. We have Pop the Balloon channel. Like I've been following along of like what are the latest and what are the latest trends when it comes to
Pop the
dating.
balloon. Hold
Yeah,
on.
you ain't heard about the Pop the Balloon?
No, come on, school me. I don't be on social media like that.
Yeah,
I use social media to promote the podcast, my business, and the fashion. That's it. Like I don't be scrolling. What is? Come on, hook
okay,
me up.
so Pop
What's
the
that?
Balloon challenge. I think it's actually seen somebody from Minnesota that was actually on Pop the Balloon a
Yeah.
few weeks ago. So,
Okay.
but I think they're out of Arizona, and it got popularized where there's a lady who's a host, and there's a lot of single men or a lot of single women. So let's say it's a lineup of men, and a
Mm-hmm.
lady will come in and she'll talk about like what she does and what she's kind of look for in the dating world. And if she says something that somebody doesn't like, they'll pop the balloon. Or if she has like let's say her hair is looking to the left and her pinky toes is looking to the right, people pop the balloon. And then let's say vice versa, like maybe the guy is not tall enough and so they pop the balloon because that's not their type. And so I guess the gist of the show is to really find love, find who you're looking for, but you only have a few moments of time to hear from that person before if they choose you or you pop the balloon. But what I find about this show is that people could be so shallow. I
Come
don't like
on.
the
It
fact that
sounds shallow
uh,
already.
I
Yeah.
and
Come
I
on
feel
now.
like it highlights like the very essence of like dating in general, right? And so,
Mhm.
but like, oh, because you wear glasses, I got to pop the balloon, pop. I'm like,
Oh
well,
my
I can't
goodness.
see. Like it's the most shallowest thing,
Right.
right? And but I feel
Wow.
like for myself, like as a man, dating is lit. It could be so lit. It depends
Mm.
on what you're looking for. So the thing is, especially like I feel like as a man who has all his stuff together, right?
Come on now.
Um, I'm old. When I was younger, it was more about quantity. Oh, how many girls can I date? Woo, woo, woo. But then
Mm-hmm.
after a while, you get older, right? You come out of that different mindset. You grow, you mature, and then you think about, okay, quality is cool, right? Quality. You want to see what's out there, what lines up for you in your dating life and your dating world. But then it comes down to quality, right? And I remember one time I was just like, dang, it seems like there's like a carbon copy of like everything that you see like in a woman. Like, so one, I love women that wear your eyelashes, wear your makeup, and wear your hair, all that. Good, that's good for you. But then
Yeah.
you got a carbon copy of like everybody's looking the same, right? And
Mm.
then it goes back to the pop the balloon challenge, like is there anybody real anymore, right? And it's
Right.
like, is anyone like? And then I was like, God, like, what do I need to focus on? Because if everyone looks the same, and I'm in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to prejudge nobody and say like, oh, they're not cool or anything like that. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, what woman should I be chasing? And then I thought about Proverbs 31. You know, he who finds a wife finds a good thing, obtain favor from the Lord. But that's
Exactly.
not all. There's more
Yes.
to the scripture, right?
Come on now. Come
And
on.
so that made me really go back to the book. But the biggest thing I feel like for myself is like really around just with praying
Mm.
about the partner that you seek, and praying about
Good.
the partner that God has for you, right? And I think I told one of my friends last week, I was like, I almost didn't want to pray about a partner of mine because I'm afraid of the answer I'm going to get,
Mm-mm.
because I know my faith is so strong where
Right.
I know God gonna reveal it. And I'm like,
Amen.
woo,
Well,
and it's
well,
scary, right? But at the same time, it's
why
like,
is it
now I'm like, no,
scary?
God, I need to hear directly from you because I didn't hear
Yeah.
from you before, right? Because I wasn't tapping into you, but now I'm
Right.
tapping more in, right? And I think, like I say, like dating, like, and then we gotta be aware of where we are, right? In our
Mm.
mental, our physical, our
Absolutely.
spiritual, being aware, right? And so, like this year, I lost my dad 6 months ago,
Sorry to
right?
hear that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, thank you. And I remember growing up, my dad would always say, "I'm a dance at your wedding. Can you go make me a peanut butter jelly? I'll dance at your wedding, right?" So
Yeah.
now that life is going on, he cannot dance at my wedding.
Right.
Spiritually, yes, but like physically, no. So I'm like,
Right.
what am I doing out here now, right? And so it really puts life in perspective, of waiting, like the waiting game. Like, what are you waiting for, right? And
Mhm.
it's just that next step of like knowing what you God has for you and then pursuing that. Absolutely, all
Absolutely.
day. And I learned from mistakes of my friends. I learned from my own mistakes, and I'm like, well, what can I bring, and essentially to the table for myself
Mhm.
first, right? How do I love myself first before I'll go out here and love somebody else?
Right.
And I think I became more aware of myself, more aware of my value. And that's another thing about men. Okay, I can't say about myself. I'm gonna use I
Yes.
say
There you
myself
go. There you
is
go.
my own value, right? My own value, and what that entails. Because when I was younger, I was frivolous,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I didn't
We
have
all
my
will.
value. It's like
Mhm.
then we grow up and we say, oh, what determines yourself as a man depends on how many trees you knock down, right?
Mm.
How many women you have. That determines your value as a man. And I found when I was younger that the more I start uh, playing around here in the forest, the more lesser value that I became.
Come on.
And so I was like, you know what? Now I need to switch this thing up, right?
Yeah.
And now I need to switch this thing up and play somewhere else, right?
There you go.
And then that's one thing I tell younger men too. Like, you want to make sure that don't give your value away. Don't sell it for nothing. And have a sense of direction, for yourself, right? And
Absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, it's a journey. I would say that it's an incredible journey, and one would just have to be willing to learn themselves. And as you learn yourself, you are able to like go after what you really want. And so you know
Absolutely.
what you really, really, really want, you can definitely say, "Nah, that ain't it." You could smell it from a mile away. Like, nope, that's not it. Mm-mm. It's a feeling. It's a thought. It's a feeling. Like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm good. Nah,
I
look
can
good,
agree with
but
you
I'm
on that.
good. Right?
Right. I can
So
definitely agree with that. And
yeah,
that's like my mantra of this whole podcast when I started it last year. It was just really to get the thoughts out of my head is anybody going through this in a dating scene or is it just me?
yeah.
And now that I'm not doing this anymore, I'm
Mm-hmm.
working on this. I'm working on the three fingers that's pointed back at me. And
Fact.
this season of the podcast is more of self-reflecting. It's more of healing in what I've learned and grown in these dating streets from last year and just applying it to just be a better person. Like, baby, I have some great qualities and characteristics about myself, but there's also some things that I still need to work on
Yeah.
and be healed and delivered from, as I think everyone in the world does. And with the right people, I share those flaws, and I usually am very upfront with them of
Yeah.
like, this is what it is, this is what you're getting. I'm working on it. I know I'm not perfect, no one will ever be perfect, but can you handle, I don't put all my beans or cards on the table, but I'm like, these are the things that I'm working on, and I'm a little rough around the edges. Can you work with me? Are you willing to work with me?
Yeah.
um Type
And
deal. And a
like,
lot of
don't
people,
give up on me,
yeah.
right? Like, I'm a work in progress. Don't give up. Don't give up on
Absolutely.
it, right?
And
And so
the biggest part in dating that I saw, a lot of people are not self-aware. They
mm,
do not have awareness of self, their flaws, their pros, their cons, their traumas, their triggers. They're just not, they're just oblivious to who they are and how they are represented and how they show up in the world. They are oblivious. That was one of the common things I saw in dating guys, along with not having healthy boundaries with friends of the opposite sex, family members. And I was like, wow. And the more that I healed in those areas, the more that I was easily to spot, yeah, you have boundary issues. You don't know how to say no to people, or you're a people pleaser. Um, you rather put other people before yourself, being detrimental to yourself. Like there's a little bit of selfishness that needs to be like, hey, if I do this for you, okay, now it's gonna make me late on some stuff and it's gonna possibly cause me to lose my job. No, people have to have healthy boundaries in place. And that is something that I saw in the dating scene that they didn't have.
yeah.
Men and women.
But sometimes you just got to tell them no,
Yeah.
right? And it sounds a lot easier said than done.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
situations, but like, sometimes I had to tell myself no, like, nah, nope, I'm not about to step out late with you. Nope,
Yeah.
I know me. You.
Where it's gonna lead to.
Yep,
Exactly. Exactly.
exactly.
I
I have
know
to
my
tell you.
kryptonite.
Yep.
Still, I was still falling in it. I ain't gonna lie, I was still falling in it. And I was like, I can't. I want my husband.
Yeah.
I want the one that God told me about. And I don't know if God has answered you about your wife, but when God gives you that word of exactly how your wife is, how you are supposed to treat her, how she will show up for you, I have had God do that, and I honestly forgot about that word. I wrote it
Mm.
down, but I honestly forgot about the word. And I, like in this past couple of weeks, I'm like, let me go back to God did give me a word on my husband. I forgot all about that thing. Baby, let me read this thing. Oh, wait. Now let me find scriptures and make this a prayer point. Because God, you said, and I'm always like a little kid telling on him, you said, God, you said, I'm always feeding his word back to him because he is not a man that lies. So when I get doubtful or when I get antsy to get on these dating apps, which I hate getting on,
Woo, that's a whole nother subject.
baby, I'm like, God, I go back to that word. God, you said X, Y, and Z about my husband. Lord, give me the strength to not settle for less. Give me the strength to just focus on myself and get myself ready as much as I can before you present him to me, because I don't want to mess his heart up. I don't want to mess any man's heart up, but I definitely don't want to mess the man's that you have for me heart on purpose. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, these apps are garbage. I'm gonna just say that right now.
Yeah. Like I literally, that's another thing too. Like I went through therapy and I felt myself like before I went through therapy, I felt myself going through another cycle, right?
Mm-hmm.
You go through a cycle of like scrolling, going through these
Yep.
apps, going on things like that. And then you find yourself back, into the rotation of the dating apps and things like that. And I was like, I want to make sure I ain't crazy. Like it ain't me. And so what I went to therapy, nah, homie, you the common denominator. It
Yeah.
is you. This is the areas that you need to work on. And so I remember my therapist at the time. He was like, "So, what brings you in?" And I was like, I just sense like I feel like I'm going on a rat wheel, going nowhere, especially in my daily life. And like you said, well, what are some things that like came up for you in terms of your dating life and like the apps? And I was telling him like as I'm like out and dating and want to meet, because I used to be very anti like dating apps because my personality is
Yeah.
like I person or I might see you at an event or something like that and I'll pull up, but then like the dating apps is like everything's at your fingertips, and
Come on
like
now.
I have to be much more careful, especially like dating now with having a child. So before I had a son, 6 years ago, like it was like cool, like I'm not thinking about nobody but myself, but now I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
of my child. Like now before I swipe right to say I like the person, I'm gonna have to do all the research I possibly can.
Right.
Because I'm not researching. I gotta research your peoples, who your
Come
peoples
on
hang.
now.
I gotta do a whole extensive research because I'm precious
Right.
cargo.
Come
That's
on now.
precious cargo, and I cannot be, you know, flirting around with something that's gonna derail this cargo, right? And so, but yeah, dating apps. it works cool for some people, but I like again got to be self aware of yourself and to say like,
Absolutely.
and I'm like, dang, am I the only quality person on these dating apps? Like,
That
that's
part. Come on, man. Come on, man.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of catfishes out there too. I'm just like, man, And one thing, success what I found in dating apps, like you just gotta not be weird. Like as a guy, not be weird. Like not sending crazy pictures and
Right.
be genuine, be genuinely.
Exactly.
But not everybody was raised the same.
Right. That part. See,
That
we have these, a lot of people say high expectations. No, baby, these are the norms because of how we was raised, the era we come from, which was a very valuable era to take care of ourselves, value yourself, represent yourself a certain way when you are out here in the streets, because you're not representing just yourself, you represent your whole family name. So present yourself accordingly. And I just got to go on a rant. If I see one more person out in these streets, male or female, with a bonnet on their head,
yeah,
baby, I understand you want to express yourself and people got to accept you for who you are, but come outside with some type of presentation.
and
Bonnets are for in the house as you are sleeping. And if you can't do your hair before you go outside, then don't come outside. I just had to go on a rant because first of all, that's one of my business products. Like, come on, y'all.
yeah, they love your product so well they want to wear it everywhere.
Come on, man.
I blame you. I blame you for that.
Don't do that. But yeah, so I want to go back to what you
Yeah,
said, like just being cautious of being a father now of a
yeah,
son, and then also what you are representing to him and showing him as a man of, for one, how to hold and have a posture as being a man, but also how to, I don't like using the word handle, but how to pursue women, how to represent women that come, in and out of your life or through your life, whether that's friends, business partners, like you're showing him how to interact with each and every one of them. So that is a beautiful thing. One thing my mother showed me and taught me is don't allow everybody in your house. My mother was very private with her home. Like she was like, yeah, you can go over there, but ain't nobody coming over here. Like I couldn't have people. And it just stuck with me as an adult. I can count on both hands how many people has been in a house that I'm currently at. And
mm-hmm.
it's just, I've had stalkers before I moved here. I had a stalker, and that was the scariest experience that I ever had in my life. I felt trapped in my own house, and I was on the first floor. Like, come on, like, dude, we've been dating for how long, and now you want to do all this? I'm like, I gotta call the police on you. Neighbors calling the police. Like, this is embarrassing because I work for the dang leasing agent, and you come on. So I was like, see, when I slipped up and had somebody over, should have did a whole background check on this brother right here. And I was gonna say something, but I don't want to stereotype people from a certain state, but I would never date guys from a certain state. And
Uh,
I feel like God is gonna be funny, and my husband might be for there,
yeah,
and I'm just gonna be like,
hey, that might be their next door neighbor or something.
right, yeah. But I'm very cautious of who I bring, but also because I'm a woman and I'm
Yeah,
raising a young man, and just so him to not see a rotation of men throughout my house, like that's definitely not the factor
yeah,
with my household. So that's good you're being cautious about that.
yeah, for sure. Like I remember, again before child, I'm gonna say BC before child,
There you go.
before COVID. I remember I used to have parties at the crib. I'm like, cause I live alone and. I'm like, like my family, they don't come by to visit that often. So I'm like, yo, I'm about to just throw some parties. Like,
Yeah.
have parties and stuff. Really dope folks, dope parties. Nothing got too crazy out of hand. And then like years later, COVID hits, and then like ain't nobody come through the crib like that. And then like now it's like okay, now I feel like there's a sense of normalcy, but I'm like to that point, I'm like you can't let everybody in. And so I
Right.
think I do pride myself on, especially with my son, is like he don't have he don't see dad interacting with like
Hmm.
a lot of females coming to the house or any of like that type stuff. One, he a snitch because he gonna go back and tell his mama. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing about co-parenting. Your child gonna come back. My son's 6, so he gonna come back.
Yeah.
Mama,
Oh, he in the telltale stage.
tell stay because he tell me everything over there. I'm like, son, like
Yeah.
he got all the teeth, but that's not like that's another sense of accountability. But I
Yeah.
want to show him that this is how like if I do have like friends come over, I'm like, yo, son, like this dad's friend, so he's very like, all right, dad, who coming over now? I'm like, cool, right? And so, but yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have to make sure that I'm doing having a great example for him. Now he can't go back and he can't say like, oh yeah, growing up, my dad had a whole lot of people in his house. Like how I grew up, like my mom, she was like that. Like we couldn't have none of our friends come over and things like that. But on my dad's side, oh man, like he had a lot of people, a lot of random people, a lot of rando people coming over. And
Yeah.
like, where do you feel safe at? You know what I mean? And so I had the best of both worlds, and I seen the outcome of both worlds of when you
Mm,
have a house and when you don't, when you were very like cautious about who you let over. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
So break down co-parenting and dating. I know you said your son is a snitch right now
Yeah. Oh,
in this age. So feel free to share a story on that. Like if he told on you or he told on his mama, like how does
he
that work?
he stayed
Uh,
telling me, and I'm like, me and his mom, we are in a good place.
yeah.
We are definitely in a good co-parenting place, especially like now that he's like, in school full time.
Mhm.
And I've always had the notion of like, it doesn't matter what she does, right? It doesn't matter in terms of like who she decides to date, because I had to go through all of this, when he was being born. Like me and her was
Mhm.
together, and so we had to navigate what that looks like in terms of like co-parenting. And
Yeah.
we get it right all the time, and we darn sure are not perfect. And
Right.
there's sometimes I'm like, oh man, let me where my lawyer's at. She probably felt the same way, and but I make sure that I give her space and
Mhm.
vice versa, right? And so my thing, I take the approach of like, I can see like, because I know there's different co-parenting relationships, right?
Mhm.
Relationships like you might just had a divorce, and like, or y'all was together and y'all have a child together, and then one parent might say, don't bring no girls around my son, or don't
Right.
bring no dudes around my daughter, right? Those types of things. And certainly his mom was like that before, but at the same time it was like, let's reevaluate, reevaluate this whole situation, right?
Absolutely.
It had a lot of come to Jesus moments, and so she's had the luxury of like definitely like dating, and my son definitely met her boyfriend that she had at the time, I guess,
Mhm.
and so he's a lot harder on her than he is on me, right?
Mm.
He's
Your
I'm
son?
like he's like her protector. He's like her dad, right? And like even the other day, my son was like, he was like, Dad, I got something to tell you. And he took the room. I'm like, what's up, son? He was like, my mama got a boyfriend. And then she back like, I don't know what you tell your dad for. Like, he ain't my daddy. And I'm like, son, like, so how does this make you feel? Right? Like
Yeah.
getting down to like, what is it about your mom having a boyfriend that makes you feel, uncomfortable and things like
Absolutely.
that. So he started
I just want to pause for a moment there. The fact that you gave him space and asked him, how does he feel about that? So he can self-regulate. Well, how do I feel? Why do I feel? So that a lot of men did not get that as growing up. Therefore, that's why they don't have the capacity now to be emotionally aware. So I just want to commend you for giving him that space. Go ahead.
thank you, thank you. And then I don't know where it comes from. It's like second nature, but like I don't know. It comes straight from God. Like
Yeah.
say like raise my son. It gives me an opportunity to raise myself over again. Like what would I tell myself if
Yes.
I came, to my dad or and say the same thing, And for him, I was just like, son, like let's think about these thoughts. In his mind, he feels like if my mom gets a boyfriend, I'm gonna be replaced.
Mm.
And because me and her, we ride a life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I tell him like, son, like you're not gonna be replaced. Like your mom still loves you. She doesn't love you any less.
Exactly.
And I'm just reaffirming with him, like, it's okay. And then on the flip side, I'm like, I used to test him a long time ago. I was like, yo, son, how would you feel dad got a girlfriend? He like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? I need you to go
Right.
hard in the paint like you go for your mama. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's
He's
not because he sees another male in the household and he's a male. And I'm
yeah,
sure if y'all had a daughter, she would feel the same way about you because it's another woman and she's a girl. So it's just that male figure, like, okay, is this gonna mess up the relationship me and mom has? Is this gonna mess up the relationship me and dad has? So yeah, I mean, I can understand where he's coming from, and hopefully, I mean, I'm not trying to tell grown folks what to do. Hopefully, His mother is affirming him like, you are first, you are only, no one will come before you. And hopefully, I don't know what the dynamic of that relationship is, but hopefully, and that'll lead to my next question. Hopefully, if he's going to be around your son, he's also affirming your son with that as well.
Absolutely. Yep. And that was another thing too. I had to realize, like, I would say, like, whatever, and I trust my co-parent enough to know that, she has my son's best interest at heart, and
Yes.
bring him around anybody that would be harmful, right? and
Right. Right.
and and I feel like she extends that same love, and that same love to me as well, that I would never bring him around anybody that would be harmful. And I
Mm-hmm.
the situation too. Like, I don't necessarily have to meet. Like I told, like, I don't necessarily have to meet every one of your boyfriends, because I know you're dating, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily have to meet them. And if you feel safe enough that you want to introduce our son to this person, I'm gonna let you have it.
Yeah.
Keep no discretion, right? Because I might have my own thoughts and feels and things like that, and what I would do on my end, but I cannot control what goes
Right.
in the other person's household.
Come
And
on now.
I got one life to live.
Yeah. Come on now. That's good.
I don't have enough bandwidth to dictate what goes on in your household, because if I wanted to dictate what goes on in your household, I would have locked it up a long time ago.
Right.
I would have been paying your bill, your rent, and things
Come
like
on
that.
now.
And
And
like,
that kind of goes into my,
yeah,
the next question of like, how did y'all have an agreement to do XYZ before y'all introduce, the opposite to your son, did y'all have a mutual agreement about, I don't know, like, was there anything in place beforehand, or y'all just kind of roll with the punches as they come
yeah.
in?
There was something like loosely in place, but then after a while, it was like, we're just gonna roll with the punches. And I treat it just like how I treat my sisters. Like, if they have somebody, like, I don't want to meet them until it's serious, right?
Yeah.
My son can meet them, great, but like, if until y'all like about to walk down the aisle, I don't feel like I have to have the same conversation with everybody that you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm more of like a genuine, like, a relationship builder type person. Like,
Yeah.
I won't go out my way to meet somebody and be like, oh, and then it turns out to a dud. Like, let's say if I'm walking down the street, or something, and we just bump into each other, like, it's all love, right? And so, but I'm like, especially like in the beginning, have date, do what you do, date,
Yeah.
right? If it when it makes sense, and if it makes sense, if we cross paths, sure, absolutely,
There you go.
absolutely. Like, I wouldn't even bat an eye. I'm saying, okay, cool.
There you
And that's another thing too about being also in a healed place. Not
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people have that
Mm-hmm.
place that
Say it again. Hold on. Say
out
it
in
again. Say the word again, Kenneth. Say the word again.
place. Like, there's a lot of people that still have deep feels for
Yeah.
things like that, and they go back and test the waters, and when you put yourself back into those different cycles, then you're going to have a lot of issues in terms of, like, you're going to feel some type of way about them dating whoever they date. It don't matter who they date. You're going to.
Absolutely.
And I at the end of the day, I just be like, and when I find out, I'll be like, thank God she got somebody. Woo, woo. That takes the heat pressure off. Come on now. And I'll be like, I'm like, Carl, like, yo, you want me to hook up with somebody? I ain't got
Right.
but you know what? But no, I'm genuinely happy, for her and her dating life, and I cheer her on, and at
That's
the same
good.
time, I'm the king of minding my own business. You know,
Yeah.
Sonny boy come back home, my son, I don't want to know. It ain't none of my
Right.
business.
He says, son, I want to know. That's good. See, I'm glad I don't have that. I don't have that.
Yeah,
I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about baby daddy, baby mama drama. My
yeah.
daughter, my oldest is 24. As soon as she got a phone, we were just able to communicate, without her father, which is great. You date who you date. My son father, unfortunately, he's deceased, so I don't have to worry about that. Baby mom drama, baby. I don't
Ooh,
date who you date, whatever. So I don't have to worry about that. So I'm very blessed
yeah,
in this day and age to not, when I do want to go step out, I'm very private. I keep it private. And like my cookies, my son is very valuable, and so I feel like you are valuable enough for me to introduce you to that. Then yeah,
For sure.
then I will. But I'm not gonna be running Tom, Dick, and Harry up and through my life, let alone my son's life.
Yes, life is too short to be running around after somebody and just all the drama. And like that's another thing too. Like I don't bring drama to the footsteps of nobody
Yeah,
else, to the footsteps of nobody else. Like and I would be totally transparent and honest. I'm like I would never, and never. Uh,
yeah,
I having some. If I'm going through a season of issues with my co-parent, I promise you, like I am not bringing it to the doorstep. I would not even be there, right? And like yeah, it's so much. It's so much. I mean,
yeah.
red table talk and all that type stuff. But like
Come on now.
again, you have to be self-aware, and I got two mouths to feed, one life to live.
There you go. I love how you say co-parent and not, my baby mama or my son's mom. No, it's co-parent. You both are
And
co-parent.
it's
I
funny
like that.
that too because a long time ago I used to work with somebody, this brother, and this was the first time I me even hearing that term, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Yeah, me and my co-parent." I was like, "Co-parent? I mean, you mean your baby mama?" He said, "Nah, there's a difference." I said,
Mm.
"School me."
What's
And
the
he was
difference? Come on now.
yeah, no, he was like, school. I was like, school me. He was like, baby mama has this negative connotation. He was like,
Yeah.
certainly, my co-parent is not a baby mama. Like, I'm here, I'm stepping up, to the plate in my daughter's life, and like, and nor is she like ever holding my child away from me and things like that. So he's like, and we work together as a co-parent, and I start using that,
Yes.
the co-parent, and I'm like,
Yeah.
co-parents could have baby mama, baby daddy tendencies. I could say that, like, oh man,
Yeah.
mom right now, she acting like a baby, he acting like a baby daddy right now. But I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, on the same page. Okay, we co-parents now. Now we're both at this table,
So
right?
what's some attributes of a baby mama?
Ooh,
What's some attributes of a baby daddy?
okay. Better not have nobody around my daughter, my son. You always gonna be mine.
Mm.
Job. Commenting on your videos. Baby mama, I'm gonna take you to court if you don't, buy me some McDonald's and me and all my kids McDonald's. Like
Yeah.
it's like using the child as a chip and then using the mother as a frisbee. You know,
Yeah.
or
Come on. Oh, that's good.
what is that thing that like a boomerang? You throw it out, hopefully it come back in. Right?
Right.
It's just weaponizing
Mm.
parenting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And weaponizing you dating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you're gonna date somebody, then uh forget about seeing your child, you know.
Yeah.
Or you gonna date somebody, forget about you getting child support. Forget about me even stepping up and doing anything. So those
Yeah.
are different attributes
Mm.
I
Come
see,
on now.
I've witnessed firsthand. Uh,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's yeah, I think, and then the attributes of a co-parent. Oh, coming to the table, together and saying, "Hey, our child has a bingo night. Let's go in support of our son. Great, let's do that. Oh, hey, there's this thing that I don't know, what's that? Elf on the Shelf. Let me pass this Elf on the Shelf to your crib, so we could work together, so we could
Hmm.
our child's imagination, to keep dreaming.
Nice.
Great, let's do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Working together. We ain't
And
got to.
that's beautiful. And
Yeah,
that teaches your son that even though you not are not together, you still come in agreement for the benefit of him
yeah,
at the end of the day. And so I believe that will shape his mind on how to navigate relationships that he may not be in, like coworkers. Like, I don't like you and you don't like
mm,
me, but we got a goal. We have agenda that we have to, come in agreement with so that we can accomplish that will benefit both of us. So I think that will help him in all aspects of relationships through his life, whether they're personal, business, professional. So that is good. Has it always been like that for you and the co-parent? What
it took
I
it
mean, I
took
don't want
prayer.
you to be fun.
It took a lot of prayer,
Yeah,
fasting, and supplication.
yeah,
It took a lot, to get to this point. You know what I mean? And so, it used to be like an ebb and flow, and then it got really, down into the dumps, and then it
hmm,
building up. And I think a lot of that had a lot to do with like just hurt. trust, and yeah, but it took a lot. It took a lot to
Yeah.
get, a lot of people that know my story, and know the story of Kenneth the father, and in the early stages, like there's a lot
Hmm.
that I had to endure, a lot that I had to be like, oh man, like I have to really figure out, this whole situation, you
Yeah.
know uh a lot of things I think I don't really put out, for the whole community to know.
And
you
you
know
shouldn't.
you're right.
You're not supposed to. You're not supposed to. Only your inner circle. And
Yeah,
then even within that circle, you know.
exactly. Yeah.
So
And
yes.
so much stuff that, even when I see young fathers, just young parents, and I always tell young fathers, like, no matter what you feel in terms of like, well, how you feel towards your co-parent and all that stuff, like if you could overlook your co-parent and think about your child first, like,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a lot of situations that's going to pop up where it's going to easily distract you from trying to be there for your child. But at the end of the day, think about the best interest of your child, and think about yourself as you raising yourself. Fight for your child, right? Fight for them, right?
Yes.
Somebody to fight for you. Fight for them so much as you want to fight the co-parent on every little issue. Fight your own, like your own. Fight yourself.
Right.
Not
He said,
fight her
so,
to
yeah, come on
your
now.
child. You
For
know what I'm
making
saying?
an
And
emotional decision.
yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
got a couple gray hairs down here, but you know what? We made it through.
That's
You know,
wisdom. That ain't
it's
nothing
quick
but wisdom. That's your victory right there. That's your victory
for sure.
evidence that
Yeah,
you went through some stuff and you learned.
mm-hmm. Absolutely. But yeah, even with like co-parenting and my son, I noticed like when me and his mom is not on the same page, I see like he's like, okay, now it's time to choose up and pick sides.
Yeah.
And when we're actually on the same page, I see he's like scrambling, like, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? For instance,
Hmm.
the other day, like I'm on the phone with him, he's yelling at his mom. I said, "Excuse me, sir," and it
Hmm.
was to like on Facetime call, and I'm like, go back and apologize to your mom, and
Yeah.
she correct him, and then she affirmed the whole situation, and I said, "No, we do not yell at your mother. Nah, we don't
Right.
disrespectful," and then vice versa. What did that in turn do? That also in turn for her to be like, oh dang. Like he really, like my co-parent really ride for me on this one. I didn't even think it was like disrespect, but now I'm seeing
Right.
it. Like, now I need to ride for him as well. Now our son is like, okay, I can't play with neither one of them. Like,
Nope. Because
neither
they
one.
will do that. They will pin you against each other. My daughter used to do that when she was younger, and I was like, absolutely not. This is what I said. No, this is a no go. So kids will test you, and they will also see if you two are communicating
Mm-hmm.
about the situation. That's if and they know, and if the child knows that you are not communicating, oh baby, it's about to be war. And and he's reaping the benefit of both mom
Yeah,
and dad.
and he's quite the negotiator.
Yeah.
The other day he was on the phone and he's already creating his weekend. Yeah, mom, you know what I'm saying? I want to come to your house and can I come? Can I come? He wants to hear from me. He's like, I don't care how you feel, but what does your dad say? And
Right.
then he's like, look at me like, well, dad, can I? I'm like, no, you should have asked me
Yeah.
first. Absolutely.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's a boy thing. My son, he's 14 and he plans his weekend with his boys. Yeah, we about to go to, especially in the summer. Oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna go to this friend's house because he got a pool. We're gonna go swimming over there, and then we're gonna swing back and go to rock and jump, and then we're gonna go to the mall. Bro, who finna drive you all the way around? I am not your Uber, sir. And the fact that you didn't even, first of all, ask, okay, are your chores done? Is that room clean? Is that homework done? Are your responsibility? Home comes first before
Yeah,
you step out of this house. And constantly have to tell him and drill that in his head. Your home comes first. Take care of your house first before you go anywhere. And then, of course, check in with your mama because I'm going to tell you to figure it out if you don't keep me in the loop because I have a life too.
of
I
course.
have things going on as well. I got clients booked and stuff like that. And he had to really learn one time. I was like, well, you're going to have to walk home.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
about a 30-minute walk. And I said, either you walk home or you open your mouth and ask the parents to give you a ride because you the one decided to go over this friend's house without even asking me if I can give you a ride home, there and back. And so he learned his lesson. And now he'd be like, Mom, here's what we're thinking. What you think? Can you get me there, or can you pick me up? And I'm like, it's one or the other. It's not both. The
Yeah.
payment has to meet me in the middle, or you will have to take money out of your business for an Uber. Which one you want to do?
There you go.
He'd
Bang.
be like, man, I want to buy them J's. I want to get that PS5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get
Okay, I'm
that
gonna
money.
go
That
this weekend.
money.
You
Yeah.
know,
Gas five paper
he
stack.
likes to keep hold of his money. The money that he worked hard for, he does not like to spend. He'd be like, nope, I'll sit down this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that is PS5 to the T. Paper
Yeah,
stacks to the fifth power. Go
come
ahead and
on,
get that money.
come on. And he
Yep.
learned that over the summer at his first job at a tree trust. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
Mom, I want a PS5. I said, well, go get you a PS5, but my dollars will not spend $500 on no benefit that ain't making me no money around the clock
Love that.
selling
I,
these products. So you can go out here and work and cut down these trees and do what you got to do. And he was okay the first week. The second, third week, he like, dang, I see why you be tired when you get off. You got to deal with people 8 hours. Yes.
all day.
Different personalities,
Yep.
different spirits. You come home heavy. He's like, I see why you go in your room for 30 minutes before you even say, bruh, you gotta digress before before I can attend to him. I usually try to do it on the ride home, but he
Yeah.
learns how to work with people.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is not the same. Everybody is not raised the same. He was like, how much more I got to go? How much money you got in your savings account? Okay, you need $250. That is 5 days at 8 hours. Broke it down to him. Bro was like, oh, I can't wait to. But I also told him, it also taught him to, if next time he gets a job, get something that he loves to do that's
Yeah.
easy and fun. I'm like, you love clothes, you love shoes, go work at Foot Locker.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. You love kids, they love you. Be a babysitter. You love dogs, love you. Be a dog walker. It doesn't have to be hard work. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So he's learning that for sure. He's learning that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Especially when I think when I was 14, even like when I first moved here, I think I moved here when I was what, 15, 16, and my
Mhm.
she'll bring me around, the church and things like that. I'm like, Mom, look at those shoes. Look at man,
Yeah.
look at the gator boots. You got the snake skins. And I remember she was like, get a job, boy. And like in front of everybody, so embarrassed. I'm like, oh, I'm trying to find a job, Mom. And
Right.
tell my business, like, man, I need to get a job. But man,
Exactly.
to myself, even as a kid, I'm like, oh, I want to get a PlayStation 2. Okay, yeah. I said, I'm gonna work at a job, get enough money, get a PlayStation 2 and quit. And then I start working. I was like, I like my money coming frequently like this. I like absolutely I'm not gonna quit. Matter of fact, I don't need a
Yeah.
PlayStation. I'm over here making money.
Come on now. That's how I was. Like growing up, I babysit a lot of different kids. So that's how I made my money. Cleaning
Yeah.
people's house at a very young age is how I also made my money. Because I'm like, I want my own stuff. We grew up a little poor, and I was like, I'm tired of getting hand-me-down clothes from my cousin. I'm tall. I got high waters on. I got people looking like bruh man going to school. Like I want to buy my own clothes. So as soon as I could leave, I was selling candy because I grew up at the Bannekers. That's one spot I grew up in. They had the penny candy store down there. And I grew up in a white neighborhood in South Minneapolis. So when I go see my dad on the weekends, I'll go rack up some of my babysitting money, go to the penny candy store, bag it up like they do that stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
when I go to the school, I'm making money out my backpack. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
hey, because in the white neighborhoods, they didn't have candy like we had. They didn't know about no Now-Laters and no lemon heads. So I was banking on it. And so my mother seen my backpack one day, like, where all this money come from? Who'd you steal this money from? I'm like, Mom, you told me to be an entrepreneur at a young age. I'm flipping candy in school. She's like, and then back in the day when we had the Kool-Aid and the sugar in the Ziploc bag, man, that was bank right there.
Yeah.
Um, but she taught me at a very young age to get the bag and to be an entrepreneur and depend on myself in regards to that. And then on my 16th birthday, she took me to get my first job, which was at a men's clothing store. And
Okay.
that's how the love for fashion came into mine, and it's still here. And I'm
I
just operating at 100%. I love it.
I love that. I
I love
love
it. So it's
question
just full circle.
that you have an older son, 14 years old, and a daughter, 24. How do they feel about your dating life? Like,
Yeah.
I know, uh, especially in my world, it's like, yeah, co-parenting, things like that. But then, like, when you have children, it seems like they become your parent
Your
almost.
parents.
Like,
Come on now.
start to, say, oh, you can't do this. Well, I'm just
Yeah.
out here. But hey, yeah, how do they feel about?
Yeah, so my daughter, she's 24. She lives in Hawaii. She's
Oh,
getting her PhD in psychology. So she goes to college in Hawaii. So she's not actually here in Minnesota. But when I will put like food or she'll see a watch in like my Instagram reel, she'd be like, who watches that, mama? Who you on a date with? I'll be like, girl, I'll tell you about it tomorrow. Who that? And I'm just like, nobody, just trial and error, So, but she's like overprotective, like make sure he's this and that, make sure he's not abusive and crazy and no pedophile. And I said, oh baby, I do my background. As soon as I know that first and last name,
mm-hmm.
I am typing away. And then my son, he wants me to be married so bad. Like he wants a father, a stepdad. He wants me to be happy and married. And I was like, it doesn't take me to be married to be happy. I'm happy now, but I get what he means. He wants a co-parent. He wants me to have a man that I can rely on and for him to also have that male figure. So he just checked up on me today, like, you have any dates, mom? And I was like, I wouldn't. Yeah, I went on a couple of dates with the same guy, and he'd be like, okay, tell me about him. Like, what kind of stuff he do? Is he your type? And I'm like, kind of break down some stuff. But even that, I'm really hesitant to tell him just because I don't want to get his hopes up or whatever. So I'm really be like, no, I'm not dating anybody, especially if it hasn't been like a consistent of 3 to 6 dates. I don't say anything, just just to kind of protect him as well. So yeah, when I have dated, he will drill him. He was a drill sergeant. Like, what you want with my mama? What's your intentions? What kind of work you do? Do you have kids? Have you been to jail before? Like he'd be grilling them. Like the last guy I was in a relationship on and off for like 3 years. He grilled them. He grilled them real good. And how that even. I think I lost Kenneth. You there, Kenneth? I'll just keep talking. How I even
Yep.
met Okay, how I even met the last guy I was in a relationship. I took my son and his friends to a baseball game, and I'm texting a dude in the app like, "Hey, I'm at the baseball game." He's like, "Oh, me too." He was like, "You want to meet? Because we haven't met in person yet." And I'm like, "Sure, all right." And so that's how he ended up meeting the guy because of the baseball game, and actually where we were standing is where the baseballs go when they get hit. And so I say he tackled me. He said he saved my life because he saw the ball coming and he moved me out the way from the ball. And my son came over like, yo, bro, why you grabbing my mom like that? And he was like, oh, young man, your mom was about to get hit by the baseball. I was just moving her out the way so it didn't hit her in the head. And he was like, okay. He had
Oh,
that, I see you protecting her, but keep your hands off her type of
right.
look.
Yeah.
So that was like the first time they met. But I made sure I waited a while before I introduced him officially to him or whatever. But we're still cool. We're still good friends or whatever. He still supports my son in like certain, boy stuff that he needs or whatever. So that was good. We definitely started off with a good friendship. And
Yeah.
I think that is very important when you are going into relationships is to have a good friendship. Be friends first, because even if you get in a relationship and it don't work, of course you got to take that time to heal, but then you guys can still come back and be friends. And it's kind of it's still getting there. There's still some little stuff, feelings or whatever, but overall we're like, yeah, we are just better being friends, and we are okay with that. And now we're still trying to work that out. How does it look? How do you think you feel if I start dating people? And so, but yeah, I think friends is a good in all at the beginning and the end of any relationship.
Yeah, like Nolan, he's at the age now where he's like, "Oh, Dad, I want a sibling," and I laugh. I'm like, "You gonna get it from your mama side?" So, like, I like to travel, son. Like, don't you like to travel? Don't you see this? Like, don't you like the sand?
Yeah.
I'm like, but I was like, Daddy got to get married first. He's like, "All right, Dad, we gonna find you a wife." I'm like, "All right, we gonna do that."
Yeah. And that's good. Like, have you broke down what marriage is to
Yeah.
him? Like, what is that? That's good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I remember one day, totally unrelated. It was like last summer or something when windows was rolled down, we riding through. The music is down, and my son like, Dad, look at that fine girl. I was like, what fine girl? And so I'm like, Nolan, that is somebody auntie.
Hey, he like them older. Okay, he like them cougars already.
I was like, yo, son, you
Oh goodness, he
and
saw the knowledge
it's
she was
loud enough,
carrying.
like she heard him, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
man. So
Oh,
he over here in the back seat, like, hey, hey, hey. I'm like, yo, son, calm down.
so funny. Hey, that's good. He knows what he wants or have a type already. Too funny. He likes wisdom. It seems like he like wisdom.
Yeah,
That's what's up. Cool. All right, Kenneth. Is there any last words or nuggets that you want to say, give encourage to people who are out here dating, men or women, or even in regards to co-parenting?
yeah. Let me think. What comes to the top of my mind, top of my head? Um, I think uh, when it comes to dating, um, I think if we always say that there's nothing out here, guess what you're gonna find? Absolutely
Nothing.
nothing, right? And now, like as I was just telling my son about this bingo game, he's like, I ain't never gonna win. I was like, son, you gotta be positive. And but sometimes you might have to date outside your comfort zone too, right? I've only dated black women. Only date.
Mm-hmm.
I love black women,
Yes,
and
thank you, brother. Thank you. We
I
haven't
love
lost
black
you
women,
yet. We
and
haven't lost you
uh,
yet.
and I'm like, have I ever thought about dating somebody in a different culture? And then
Yeah.
when I thought about it, I'm like, nah, I still love black women.
Right. Come on now.
You
Come
know,
on.
like my thing is like, if you go to Baskin Robbins 31 flavors, why would I just pick vanilla? That's a low hanging fruit. But
Right. Come on now.
low hanging. But
Yeah.
um, if you don't normally go to places like, I don't really go to like this particular restaurant, or I don't really do something brand new, and you never know
Hmm.
what you might bump into. You never know who you never know what you might like. Like I just discovered like I like to do the paddle boats.
Oh
On
yeah. Yes. That's part of dating yourself. When you date yourself, then you can learn a little bit, explore about yourself. Get out of your comfort
yeah,
zone.
and you never know who's also is an exploration of dating themselves. In that same
Mm. See
right.
there?
Yeah, you see that? You know what I mean? And then also like keep God number one, keep him first, and like,
Absolutely.
and as you still praying on it, like if your friend call, yo, let's go to, like, I don't usually go there, but that's kind of where you usually find somebody that you never really thought that
Yeah.
you would even,
That's where we
everybody.
usually go.
In terms of co-parenting, I say be the king and queen of minding your own
Come
business.
on now. Say it again. Come on. Say it again.
And I'm gonna say this one last time: you got one life to live and two mouths to feed. How many children you got? Two mouths to feed.
Right.
You only got one life to live and two mouths to feed, right? And so, I can't even live my own son's life. I'm raising him so he can live his own life. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm living my life and teaching him, and I'm feeding him up until he gets to the point where he's able to live on his own, right? Do his own thing, right? And so, mind your own business,
Mm.
and keep God number one, and let love win,
That's
right?
what's
Let love win. I say going into this year, from last year, I said I want to live in my love and light. Live in that love and light. A lot of things I had to like self discover for myself. A lot of things happened this year that I wasn't even. A lot of stuff happened in a lot of people's lives this year, and a lot we was
oh
not.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm thankful and I'm glad, to be living life today, and and going into this next year, God willing. And I wish y'all nothing but the best.
Thank
Lay
you.
love lead. You know, may
Yeah.
love.
That part. Thank
And
you so
shoot
much.
your shot. You don't got shoot your shot. This thing it was like, oh, I'm a lady. I don't really shoot my shot. Guys, we like to get shot at. Not shot at. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Not bang
Like,
bang, shoot them up. Yeah, but how you doing? You know what
you
I'm
know,
saying?
you
Yeah.
know,
I'm old school to a certain extent. Like
we
I
like
like I
too.
mean, I give you the eye, I give you a hint like, hey, I'm interested, but I truly will want him to pursue me. So I know fully you are also choosing me just like I want you to choose
But
me.
Cause
So
you could do a little inch. Watch
I
this.
know I be doing some hints and the girl, she like, hey, come on over, get the little bat in
Well,
the
look,
eye.
this must be Target though. This must be Target. Man, fella,
Right.
fellas, let
I'm
me holler
like,
at
come
y'all.
on, step
Let me
up
holler
to
at
the
y'all.
plate.
Man, you
Come
go
on.
to Target on a Saturday. Woo!
Right. I do need these men in Minnesota to step up though,
What
because
I'm doing on a
I'm not I'm not a mean person. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I do have mean tendencies. I can be mean to certain people, but overall, I am a very easy person to approach and talk to at the end of the day. And I know when I'm thinking a lot, I have my thinking face on. I may look mean, and that's when I'm in the thought. I'll be like, okay, just smile because somebody might be looking because you know. But when being a single parent and running a business and going to school and being an entrepreneur and working, I got a lot of things going on. I'm thinking about what I'm gonna make for dinner. I'm not thinking about no Joe and no stove. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? But I have to be mindful that I
Yeah.
can meet him anywhere, that I can run into him anywhere. So kind of, walk, have my little elegance, my slow, do my little radar, checking out the eyes. Hey, how you doing? Versus zooming in and zooming out. I didn't might miss them or, what I'm saying? So just
Yeah.
being cautious of that as well is something I'm working on doing.
Yeah, I miss, like, I don't really get out that much. Like, a lot of people like, yo, can't know everybody, can't be always be outside. You
Yeah.
know, here I took a lot of steps back from just being outside.
Yes.
I I like to be at home. I enjoy home now. Like, it's warm
Absolutely.
at the crib. My light. This is my lights I paid for. I can sit on the back of my own couches. If I want some
Mhm.
bottle service of some Aquafina waters, I don't know if Aquafina's thing. Some
Mm-mm.
whatever.
Don't do it with him.
I can do all that in my own living room. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. I get that.
back in the day, you just like, oh man, she fine. Okay, cool. Let me pull up.
Right.
I can't tell y'all what I do and what I say in
Yeah,
person. You know,
that's okay.
but yeah,
I feel you on that. I feel you on that. I will
yeah.
say last month I celebrated all my birthday
Happy
last month.
birthday,
Thank you,
belated.
because it was
Yeah.
a night. It was the day before Thanksgiving, and I knew I wasn't gonna be able to have 20 people pull because everybody cooking the night before for
Right.
Thanksgiving. So I was like, I'm gonna celebrate all month. That's the most that I have been out in my life since my clubbing days, and I was like, I'm gonna get it in. But at the end of the day, I was like, I need a whole week off, like to just turn my phone off because I'm like, I am peopled out. Like
Mhm.
I am a homebody. I enjoy being home and cooking my own stuff and just binge watching sometimes. Like if I'm in the streets, it's very strategic. It's for a purpose. Other than that, I'm in the house. I'm cool. I'm chilling. I love and enjoy spending time with myself and being by myself in my house. It's how I recharge.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I found that too, like, that self-care, because I used to be always on the go, always at somebody's event, things like that. I had to learn to sit my butt down and say, let's redefine,
Come
like,
on
what
now.
care look like for you, black man. Like, let's sit down. And I look at it as a way of, like, even if it's like a weekend, I'm like, okay, I didn't wasn't out here spending a bunch of money and doing all crazy stuff.
Mhm.
Like, I feel like that is a success because I know, like, how busy I could make myself, right? And so
Absolutely. Absolutely.
chilling, I'm good. I'm
Yeah.
good. I'm good.
That's what's up. Well, Kenneth, I would just want to thank you again for coming on, representing for the men. Some of the men that's out here, it's been a lot of women on the podcast. I was
Yes.
like, I need some ninja to come on
Hmm.
out here, some God-fearing men to come on here, confident, healed men to speak
Yes.
up on some behalf and to show, hey, ladies, they out here.
We out here. We
They
out here.
out here. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? But again, I want to say thank you. I appreciate who you are. I appreciate the things that you do for the community. I appreciate you being a part of that young man's life, despite the bumpy road to have to get there to co-parent. You push through, and I just want to say thank you. I truly appreciate you as a man, but also as a black man present in his child's life.
I appreciate you. Thank you. So
Absolutely.
you
All
keep
right.
doing, and I'm gonna keep supporting the hobby. Support.
Yes, I appreciate it, and I'll keep you posted on the next thing I'm gonna do. Still working out those things. I kind of text you about a month or so ago. Um, yeah, y'all. So that was the Dating Chronicle podcast in regards to co-parenting in these dating streets. Thanks for joining us on tonight's podcast. Y'all have a good one, and remember, be bold, be blessed, be beautiful. Most of all, be you. Good night, good people.
Be you. Good night.